organizations that, such as the Albany Center for Entrepreneurship, or ACE, right? There tend to actually be tons of them here at this event, although they have another speaker today and couldn't make it. But they're just so enthusiastic. We have a makerspace that we just formed at the university, getting people together to be able to build and prototype their ideas. And we're really excited about that. We're excited about the fact that this is being recognized at a larger level, right? That there's things that the state is doing, such as StartUp NY, to be able to provide incentives for tax-free businesses, for businesses to operate tax-free for a period of time on or near a student campus. And so it's really a time that there's a lot of momentum that's happening on a student campus that I don't think was there before fully. And to be able to encourage that and mentor that is just really exciting and fortunate to be part of it. With that being said, it's my pleasure to introduce Cale Kapelschilin. He is the co-founder of the Tech Valley Meetup, so please give him a warm welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. It's a real pleasure to be here this evening. We founded Hudson Valley Tech Meetup a little less than a year ago. The enthusiasm has been very positive because there is a huge community very talented developers all around the region. And we wanted to bring those people together, give them an opportunity to collaborate, because collaboration is really a huge part of innovation. You can work, you can hack alone in an attic and do something great, but when you really get together with a team, when you have the motivation to do good in the world, we hear a lot about the numbers associated with startups and the sale of startups, but really what motivates people, what motivates developers, I think, what motivates me and my partner who started our creative web studio 10 years ago and started HV Tech Meetup together, what motivates all of us, I think truly, is to make the world a better place. And we're so grateful that AT&T and all these incredible institutions have come together to bring up the developer in the attic in Beacon, the university in Albany, and the international telecommunications company to work together to make the world a better place. That's really why we're all here. And thank you all for coming out to celebrate that. I think it really is worth something, it's worth celebrating, and we're very proud to be a part of it. So, thank you. Jason?
All right, and now back to the startups. But right before that, I do want to let you know, check out the website, techvalley.hackupstate.com. Tweet about it with the hashtag TechValleyATT. This is really an excellent opportunity for both students and the community to come together to get more startups in this region. And it's something that also gave us an excuse to bring a lot of these organizations together, including Accelerate 518, Center of Gravity, and all the other ones. So thank you again for everyone who's been involved. Ben Roberts especially has been amazing in order to, let's all give Ben a round of applause. Julie Tracy from RPI side has also been great, as well as Kelly Rudin, as always. So thank you all. We'll get on to the startups. And before we get to the startups, I just want to thank you to all of our sponsors again, and especially these next folks. So Mike McCoy from Startup Strategy is the beer sponsor for tonight. So if you got one of the free beers, thank Mike. And for all of you that want a round of applause like this, I encourage you to talk to Kelly about becoming a beer sponsor.
All right, thanks, Jason. This is an awesome event. It's good to be here, and all of those awkward smiles that I see in the crowd, I know that they're because of me. That makes me happy. I'll tell you just in a few seconds of what we actually do and what we started in Rome last year. We started something called the Commercialization Academy. It was sponsored by the Air Force Research Laboratory, where students would have the opportunity to take these technologies and repurpose them for private market use. And you're going to see someone up here today who took part in the program last year, and she's really, really awesome. And the technology is really awesome, as is the business, and you'll see that yourself. And next year we are looking for people. So go to commercializationacademy.org, come talk to us. We have a cohort of people that we bussed in today. Nice Tech actually provided a bus. Scream if you're here. But I do have a quick story, and this was interesting. So I was in the airport today. I always have to tell a story. Everything relates to entrepreneurship. So I got this Wired magazine, and so they obviously know their customers because it was bright yellow, which distracted me to go get the magazine. And then it said, Sex in the Digital Age, so of course I had to buy it. But there was a great interview in there, and have any of you heard of Robert Kenner? He was a documentary person for Food Inc., and there was an interview in there. And they asked him, how do you convince people of your side, when it comes to the documentary? And he said, information, when you give information, it comes in one ear and out the other. People respond to emotion, people respond to comedy, as you all responded to me earlier about my beer jokes. And that's really how people respond to things. And so that, in order to have that, I guess, in order to convince people of your message, you have to have a passion for what you're doing. And that's where our program is a little bit different. We look at emotional intelligence, we look at passion. We don't concentrate as much on process and methodology. And so if you're interested, you're a student, you want to take part, if you want to be a mentor, we would love to have you. And so now I'll introduce Alex Hudak, Consensus Technologies.
All right, well, I'm Alex Hudak. I'm representing Consensus Technologies, and thank you very much for the intro, Mike. I always kind of find it funny because I started with not knowing what on earth I was getting myself into with the Academy, to now walking away with this game-changing technology that's going to make a huge difference in this Internet of Things revolution. So I'm going to get right into it and tell you about this awesome technology. We have exclusively licensed a context-aware machine learning algorithm that was developed and validated by the Air Force Research Lab. Now, one of the many powers of this technology lies in its ability to process terabytes of data per minute in real time and make patterns and connections among those data sets. So it was originally developed for military operations as a pattern recognition tool. 3 years later, and $750,000 later, they ended up with this technology that they wanted to validate using a simple multi-step process. So they chose word processing. What they did is they fed this this technology documents and literature and taught it how to learn the English language. So it understood grammar and the way it was constructed, so that when it was fed documents with errors or even missing words as a whole, it was able to pick up on this and autocorrect it. Now, one of the first times I talked to the inventor, Morgan Bishop, he gave me this really cool example of how amazing this technology is. And so say you're writing a story, and you're typing it up, and you say, the luck is in the pond. Now, there's nothing wrong with the word luck, it's not misspelled, but we all know it's not meant to be there. So our technology can actually pick up on this, and using the context of the sentence, can correct it to say, the duck is in the pond, which makes so much more sense. And so when they compared the sentence accuracy of their technology to that of Microsoft Word, they actually improved sentence accuracy from 20% to 70%, and that's when they knew they had something unique. So that's where we come into play as entrepreneurial leads in the Academy. But with all these specific applications, we really wanted to take a step back and look at the big picture. What can this technology do as a whole? It can take an abundance of data, analyze it in real time, and predict an outcome. And we thought, hey, if it can work with the English language, why can't it work with machine language or programming or data sets? And we asked Morgan that, and he was like, go for it, definitely. So that's how we got into looking at manufacturing processes, because we have a mechanical engineering background as well, of course. So this is an open loop process, and there's many measurable variables for our technology to work with. Then we wanted to narrow it down to a market with the greatest need for process control, and that's how we ended up with additive manufacturing. Now this market is growing exponentially, but one of the biggest problems with it is the lack of real-time quality assurance. So companies are losing upwards of $160,000 per machine per year based on wasted material and downtime because their technologies are not meeting specifications. Now, this doesn't even include the amount that they spend on post-inspection processes, which are necessary because they don't have this real-time analysis. So our vision for our technology to work with 3D printers is to take all this data that they're outputting, like temperature, pressure, even thermal images, and analyze it similar to the way it analyzed the English language. So instead of taking the data points separately, temperature separately from pressure, it would make relationships among those and correct and predict an anomaly based on the process as a whole and how those relationships affect the end product. So we wanted to kind of look into this hypothesis, so we went right for it. We interviewed over 30 3D printing companies, from the 3D printer manufacturers to the end users, and they all validated that our technology would make a huge difference in the market, and especially in their 3D printers. We even solidified letters of support, a silent partner, and at RPI we found Dr. Steve Rock, who's a senior research scientist, who was working on building a metal 3D printer with a focus on quality assurance. So we were really successful in validating that our technology would make a huge difference in this market. What's important though, yeah, I'm going Steve Jobs on you, because what's important is that now we know how to validate a market, to investigate it. We know a lot about the core technology itself. So now we can go ahead and look into other markets with lower barriers to entry. Because what we found is that with the additive manufacturing market, there are very high barriers to entry. So we're not dismissing it by any means, but now we can go forward and look into other marketplaces. And that's how we came up with our development pathway. Our first phase is going to be to develop the core of the technology, because what's beautiful about it is that once the core is developed, it can then be repurposed for other applications. We can do so in parallel to looking into other markets. And then from there, we can focus on an application, develop the technology for it, and then hire more C-level positions and go into marketing and sales. So if I asked each of you in the room right now, think of an application that requires a lot of data to be analyzed in real time. I can almost guarantee that each of you can think of at least one application, and that's what happened when we stayed up on the phone for hours coming up with lists and lists. And so these are all possible markets we can look into, so it's important to know that we have a lot of support behind us to look into them. The Air Force Research Lab is behind us 110% because they want to see that the Department of Defense technology can be repurposed successfully for commercial use. We were also accepted into a nationally renowned accelerator program called the New York Furnace Accelerator, which is run by Wasabi Ventures, where we'll have connections to many resources and industry knowledgeable people so that we can find that market and go forward with it. And of course, we have this awesome team behind the technology to launch it forward. So I'm Alex Dudak. I'm getting my bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering at RPI. I'm joined by my co-founder, Adam Klitsch, of course, the inventor of the technology, Morgan Bishop, who's been a computer scientist for over 15 years. On our advisory board, we have Mike Boyd, David Novak, and Tom T.K. Kubler. And then we also have Dr. Steve Rock, who I mentioned before as a senior research scientist at RPI. So overall, we came into this with this awesome technology that has the ability to process terabytes of data in real time and make these really awesome connections between the data sets. From there, it was developed for military operations and validated using word processing. And then we stepped in and validated this technology in a commercial use, additive manufacturing. And now we can leverage the Department of Defense Accelerator program to launch the technology forward. We will also look to raise $125,000 to develop the core of the technology, as well as investigate these other markets with lower barriers to entry. Overall, this technology is really, really a game changer, and I hope you can see that with this pitch because I love it, and I'm so passionate about it, because with consensus technologies, the potential and the applications are simply limitless. Thank you very much. Yes?
On the core, it seems very similar to IBM's Watson technology. How are you guys different, or are you the same, or are you in the same space?
Right, yeah, so we are different. IBM Watson uses natural language, so they want to talk to people the way, computers they want computers to talk to people the way people talk to people. So the way a computer is going to talk to one person is going to be the same way it talks to another. Whereas with consensus, it talks to people individually. So, when you're talking to somebody, and Mike uses this example a lot because I'm going to steal it from you. If you text somebody and you say, I live you, it'll know that if you're talking to your friend, it'll correct it to say, I like you. If you're talking to your wife or your husband, it'll say, I love you. So it's that sense of individualism and being custom toward each person. Does that make sense? Yes?
So you have the estimated amount of money that you need over the next year. What are you guys using that money for specifically? Like, what's the first thing holding you guys back from spending?
Right, so what we need, first of all, is a programmer to program the language for us to work really closely with the inventor so that we can get the core technology developed. So that's going to be our first thing. applied toward the technology yet. But it's a great idea, and it's something that we can definitely look into.
Prosodic elements.
Right, yes, exactly. Yeah, and that comes into play, and that's very important to individualize it. Yes, of course. Yes.
Can it be used for something like predicting consumer behavior, or is it designed more for machine type?
Yeah, no, so, what's great about it is that it absolutely can be used for personal behavior. And so one of the ideas up there was like a smart financial budgeting tool to learn how you spend your money. For the military operation, it was used to look at traffic patterns. So it would look at different traffic patterns and to see if there was anything of concern or any patterns that just didn't look right. So it can absolutely be tailored to use for personal use. Yeah.
Let's give her a hand.
Thank you very much.
My name is Rick Rico. I'm the managing director of the New York Biz Lab in Schenectady. We're a business accelerator looking for, we have one startup that's moving in 2 weeks, and we have 3 more online, but I'd love to talk to anybody here who has any interest in either mentoring or looking for space, looking for programming, whatever you may need. So anyway, thank you very much. So I'd like to introduce the next speaker. His name is John Glass. He's with Wise Labs. Wise Labs connects experienced scientists and engineers to businesses and investors to commercialize inventions and solve tough technical challenges. Thank you.
Hi, so I'm John Glass, president of Wise Labs. I'm here with my co-founders tonight, Brad Irvin and Dennis Incarnation. They say the slowest 10 minutes in life are the last 2 minutes of an NBA game. I think the fastest 10 are when you're up presenting a business that you're passionate about. So we're going to go fast. We'll be here afterwards. If you have questions, love to talk more. So what is Wise Labs all about? Well, pretty simply, our mission is to connect elite, experienced scientists and engineers to businesses, to investors who want to tap deep technical expertise. So why does that matter? Who cares? Well, imagine you're a recently retired GE Global Research scientist, and you've been inventing in the lab for 30 years. You're very comfortable writing technical papers, presenting at conferences, but to get your inventions commercialized, you're used to having an army of GE accountants and lawyers and MBAs all around you to do all of the manufacturing, the operations, the getting funding for your idea, protecting your idea, etc. Now you're on your own, but you still have a ton of ideas. You're still at the top of your game for invention. Wise Labs plays that role to be that army of business folks to get your ideas advanced. And in fact, conversations like that with retired GE inventors was the inspiration for our business. Alternatively, think about, you're a startup business in Charlotte, North Carolina. You've got this amazing power generating fabric. Excited about it, you've got a little venture capital, but you need to stretch your resources to go a long way. Okay, it's a big world out there. You're looking for expertise, but how is this little company in North Carolina going to find the piezoelectric engineer who's retired from GE recently, who's in Schenectady? Or a carbon nanotubes person coming out of DuPont in Delaware? Well, again, Wise Labs plays that role to connect those experts to the people who need them. So really think about us as a platform to enable invention commercialization, the inventor with the idea, getting that idea, that invention to market, or technical consulting, a business that has a very specific need and needs to find the right experts to get that technical solution done quickly and efficiently. So make it easy, just let's dive into some real life examples. So not long ago, recently retired GE electric vehicle engineer came to us with a very clever, brilliant home power management idea. Brilliant guy, half the world's hybrid vehicles run on patents that he developed while at GE, and actually in our past life we licensed for GE. But he doesn't know how to bring this idea to market. Well, introduce Quirky. Some of you might be familiar, we'll talk about them a little later, but they're a real leader in home power management products, fantastic industrial design, great contacts into the auto industry, perfect partner. So what did Wise Labs do? Well, we brought together our inventor and Quirky negotiated for our inventor a deal where he's both getting a royalty from future product sales, and he's also been brought on by Quirky as a consulting engineer on the product. And Quirky's got a great product in development that's going to come out later this year or next year. Take another example. A nanotechnology company in Boston was introduced to us recently, and they're developing some very cool hydrophobic, isophobic materials. They've got some specific organic chemistry problems. Okay, well, conveniently, Wise Labs has 3 truly world-class organic chemists. You know, almost a century of experience among them, over 200 patents. Okay, what did Wise Labs do? Again, we brought our chemists in our network together with our client, the nanotechnology company, and we arranged a consulting contract for our chemists. And what does our client get out of it? They get an accelerated R&D roadmap. So, okay, how do we make money? Pretty simply, it's a shared economics model. And this is very important to us. We win when our inventors win. So whether it's commercializing an invention idea or arranging a consulting engagement, we share the economics, we share that compensation with our inventors, we win together. So why is that a good business model? Well, think about it. We've built a platform. And the beauty of platforms is that once you've built it, you can do more and more transactions on top of it. So our platform has been bringing together buyers and sellers of a scarce commodity, scientific, intellectual capital. And that's very scalable as we do more and more transactions on it, which leads to our end game as a business, which is to build a diversified portfolio of revenue stream of multiple invention, commercializations, and consulting projects that will add up to a layered annuity for us as a business. So does the world care? Well, we launched formally at the beginning of this year, and it's been a very strong yes. We've got 2 fantastic partners. One is a company that some of you might have heard of. 2,700, very relevant number, the number of retired GE global research scientists just in the Capital District. And we're cooperating and working with GE to bring Wise Labs to as many of those scientists as possible. Quirky is a little younger than GE, but in their 6 years of existence, they're really a world leader in open innovation and in making invention accessible. And they have over 1 million inventor community members in their network. Our offices in Schenectady are located in Quirky's new office in downtown Schenectady, and we're partnering a lot together with Quirky. We've got fantastic members in just a few short months, over 100 members, super credentialed, big brain scientists, tons of patents, real legit players. They're developing a fantastic invention pipeline, consumer, industrial, B2B ideas, real technology differentiated concepts. And we've got a lot more to come on all those fronts. We've got some great macro trends at our back. We'll talk more about those later. So who's behind it? Well, Brad, Dennis, and I have known each other for a number of years. We came up with the concept for Wise Labs last year. Brad has run big P&Ls at GE for over 30 years, most recently GE Licensing. Dennis has been at a couple of institutions you might have heard of, Harvard Business School, Stanford. Has consulted to GE for a number of years, which is how we met him. And I've been in a strategic investing and business development role at GE. We've got some fantastic advisors behind us. And then what's next for us? We're raising capital the first half of this year. That'll allow us to build out our team, to build out our platform, both our online platform, but also real-world interactions. Like tonight, it still matters. And then finally, build out our presence. We're going to be taking some space in the Cambridge Innovation Center later this month. So with the 30 seconds remaining, we'd love to take a question or two, and just a final thought to leave you with.
You actually have 2 minutes.
Oh, I do?
Yes.
I got 2 bonus minutes. Thank you. Or you were lying on your cards before. Great. Questions? Ma'am, yes.
I have an invention. It's a very simple thing, but no one has started.
Okay.
So how do I keep it from being stolen?
So the question question is, I have an invention, and how do I keep it from being stolen? Well, it depends if it's a patentable invention. And one way we work with our inventors to determine patentability. And there are tests to what makes a patentable invention. So that's a starting point, but that takes money. And so there's a risk-return equation, too, that we look at for all of the invention ideas that our members come to us with, which is, are the costs of patenting worth sort of the market opportunity that this invention is opening? There's an inherent amount of risk about taking an invention idea to market. And there are things that you can do that we work with our inventors on. When you open up your invention idea to the world, how do you manage the fact that you're letting other people see? But there are smart things you can do. There are ways you can maintain some proprietary algorithms depending on what your invention is. And I mean, that's the sort of thing that really, that's why inventors who are great in the lab work with people who have been around intellectual property, protecting it, licensing it, commercializing it, to kind of find the right balance points. Sir?
It doesn't seem like you've got a huge amount of overhead, so what's the $1 million?
So we feel like we've unlocked quite an opportunity. Frankly, the 100 members we brought into the network have been, without trying that hard, it's just been a great response from both the G and the Quirky communities. What we now need to do is to really, build out the team, and we have some, I would say, heavy hitters lined up to come join our team as a chief technologist, as a chief operations officer to oversee commercialization projects, as a senior patent attorney to really protect IP as it comes along. And those people don't come cheap. Secondly, we really want to invest to make our platform top-notch, and that takes development fees. And finally, we see a real opportunity in this balance point between having a great online presence, which, for instance, is what Quirky does, and they've built a world-class platform to do that. But also, we think having sort of geographic beachheads is important. You can think of a lot of cities, Michigan, where engineers have been abandoned by the auto industry, Rochester, where you've got fantastic scientists, Kodak, Bosch, Lam, Xerox. And again, establishing those geographic beachheads takes some capital too.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
All right. Our next presenter is from a company called Glibble. Jason Matthews is going to be presenting. He's the company's career services social network designed to assist colleges and training institutions. Here we are.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jason Matthews. I'm the founder of Glibble. Glibble is a placement services management system. And before I get into what that is and exactly what that means, I need to do a little exposition and a little groundwork for you. First thing I want to talk about tonight is the student loan debt in this country. It's risen to $1.2 trillion. Now that is higher than the credit card debt in this country as well as the auto loan debt. Now that debt is a combination of the three types of schools: public, private, and non-profit. I can't get into the explanation of those differences, but I can tell you that a for-profit institution is a business that is accredited to grant degrees to individuals. And the measurement for these schools is placement. The average default rate on that loan is 14%, on that debt is 14%, but it can get as high as 50%. There's even a school in Florida that the default rate is 66%. Another number that I want to present to you tonight, this was studied last year by a Millennial Branding Institute, found that only 29% of college students utilize their career services office. So what do these two numbers tell us? It tells us that there are more college students than ever before. There's more student debt than ever before. The job market is more competitive than it ever has been, but students are not utilizing the career services resources that are put in front of them. Now, before I go any further, I just want to tell you, So what schools are going to need to do is they're going to need to focus on outcomes. The best outcome for any training institution, college or otherwise, is going to be placement. Now, before I go any further, I'll tell you about myself. I was in the Air Force for 6 years. I was a meteorologist. I was not on television. I was a combat meteorologist. I was on the ground with the Army in Korea and Iraq doing real-time observations. When I got out, I was a career advisor with the Art Institute of New York. I went on there to be a project manager with JP Morgan and Chase on the mortgage review process. And most recently, I've been the Director of Career Services at Empire Education. So I oversaw 3 schools, which is a proprietary school. I oversaw 3 schools. When I left in December to begin doing this full time, my team and I reported an 80% placement rate, which we placed 330 students using this program. So there are 3 big pieces of legislation that you need to know about that are going to change the environment drastically. Number 1 is the Workforce and Opportunity Act, Innovation Opportunity Act, which basically is the federal government drilling down into the states' governments, wanting the unemployment offices or the one-stop state to be more effective. They want to actually start connecting the unemployed to employers and creating placements out of those relationships. The next is the Gainful Employment Act. This is a legislation that is making it very stringent for community colleges and career colleges to operate. It redefines what placements are, how they are measured, and how they are reported. It also puts a lot of restrictions on who can accept student loans now, who can take student loans. And the last are the changes that we made to the Higher Education Act, which basically state that if a college has a default rate, or the student body has a default rate higher than 30%, they'll be subject to penalties. And they could lose their accreditation, therefore they could lose their ability to grant loans and give grants away. Now, what schools are going to have to do to respond to this is that they're going to have to add placement, the practice of placement, in addition to counseling. What does that mean? All that's doing is adding an additional set of tools onto your counseling office. You're going to need to start tracking your student activities, reporting your placements, building your student community, building your internship programs, building your alumni resources as well, and actually going out and developing jobs for your students to move into when they graduate. And you need to build an advisory board. An advisory board is a board of employers that advises a college on its curriculum as well as its career services department. This is the pipeline that you have to build to have an effective placement office. And that is where Glibble comes in. Glibble is a career service management system that allows you to manage your entire career service office from one point. It's social in nature and it's cloud-based, and it's very important. So what it does is streamlines all the activity and report tracks the interactions between the career services office, the student job seekers, and the employers. The biggest challenges that any career services office faces is, number 1, that they have to connect with their job seekers, connect with their students. Number 2 is they have to build a strong relationship with their employers. And the last one is that they have to create placements out of those relationships. So what Glibble does is it sets up a network that allows the career services office to manage that network and create interactions between the employers and the students. It gives students a profile in which they can post resumes, communicate with the career services office, and get plugged into their school. And it creates profiles for employers to post jobs, search student resumes, and communicate with the school's career services office. So I just want to give you a really brief tour of what it actually looks like. So this is, it's kind of washed out, but this is the main page. It's like a wall, just like LinkedIn or Facebook. It's designed to be that way, so it has an intuitive use. Career Service Office can post information such as job leads, job fairs that they have coming up, articles that they feel are going to help the students out. This is the dashboard. So again, the Career Service Advisor can log in. They can see immediately what their upcoming appointments are, students that are joining the network, employers that are joining the network, to kind of get a one-stop. This is your student database, so you can see all of your students. When was the last time they logged in? Or have they uploaded a resume? Are they interviewing for jobs? Are they contacting employers? Same thing, employer database that allows you to see if your employers are on your advisory committee. Are they looking at student accounts? When was the last time that you communicated with them? And all of this is available for one click into an Excel spreadsheet, so that when you have your audits, you can just one click and submit the information to your audits. This is a student page, again, very intuitive use. You can upload a profile image, you can upload your resume, you can add in searchable keywords for your skills. If there's a visual component, upload a portfolio. This is your employer database. You can go in here and search your employers so you can see what kind of industries they are. This is your jobs, again, very kind of washed out. You can see all the jobs that have been posted to your network. When a student sees a job, or when there's a job posted on the network, a student can apply for it, or the career service advisor can recommend a student for the position. When they do that, the employer gets an email saying this student has been recommended for the position. Go ahead and log in and check out their resume and their profile. When the employer does that, they can see the students at the bottom who have been recommended to them for the positions. So real briefly, I just want to talk about competition. There are companies that are in this space that have programs similar to this. Things like Simplicity, Optimal Resume, CSO Research. The problem is that they are not cloud-based. They're big programs that have to be installed. There's training involved. They're not social in nature, so all of the data has to be input by the career services advisor. There's no process to go along with it. And they're very expensive. They're anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 a year. My program is Plug and Go. It's a relationship builder. It's social based. So again, the data and the input is all given by the student users and the employer users. It is a revenue generator for the school. I'll get into that in just a little bit. It comes along with a credit, with a consulting arm. And it's siloed. That's very important. So the students can't see other students, employers can't see other employers, and schools can't see other schools. How we're going to generate revenue is that we're going to charge on a for-student basis. I can't get into a lot of it's a little complicated to explain all that, but I can tell you that the way we assess the fees is truly unique and it sets us head and shoulders above our competition. To give you an idea of the market size, public schools enrollment 6.8 million, two-year institutions 6.1 million, proprietary institutions 2.4 million. So you can see that the revenue potential is very high, not only for the institution, but also for the company. Now, why am I here? What am I asking for? The biggest thing is that I need beta testers. I alpha tested the program in my own institution, and I had a lot of success with it. Now I need schools that want to take it on, implement it, get their students to use it, get their employers to use it. I as well need employers that want to participate, as well as career centers. Anybody that it's their responsibility to connect individuals to employment. Excuse me. I would be open to investors at this stage, but it is a little difficult to assess the value because I am for revenue. What I'd be looking for in an investor would be somebody that has connections, somebody that has guidance, has brought a product to market, or can, creditors or large families of schools, and of course I'm building a sales force. And that only leaves me with a couple of minutes for questions. I will be in the back at the booth if anybody has any additional questions about the presentation. Thank you to my host for a wonderful opportunity, and any questions I can answer. Any questions?
Up top.
Oh, sorry, there.
I have a question for you. So you said that you are going to be charging the schools. Is that what it is for to utilize the service?
We'll charge on a for-student. The question is, how are we going to charge? How are we going to assess the fees? We're going to charge on a for-student basis, and like I say, the nature of how we're going to do that is something that sets us apart, and it's not really something I can discuss in this atmosphere, but I can answer any questions about that at the table.
Well, my question is that what's going to set you apart from the other pre-established forums that don't charge anything to connect people to employers and schools and jobs, such as LinkedIn, Facebook, etc.?
So the question is, what sets this system apart as opposed to, I guess you're pointing to like a LinkedIn or some kind of public forum?
That isn't going to cost money for people to be involved with.
Well, there's not a lot of software programs that I'm familiar with that would be free to the institution, free to the employers, and free to the students. And so, again, what I want to be very clear out is that it's not an expense to the school, it's actually a revenue generator for the school. Next year.
So you said you were prior military, so I'm curious, would Glibble be able to transfer to military service members who are trying to transition their military skills into a platform for employers?
Yes, thank you for bringing that up. So she's asking if this is applicable to other things such as the military or state offices, or she just want a contract to go down to Philadelphia and train their one-stop offices on how to do placement, how to run programs like this. So it is something that could be used. Again, anytime you've got the mission of placing individuals into a position, you need to build that network of employers and job seekers.
So, without further ado, our final presenter tonight, Brian Cook of Tone Tree. Give it up for Brian Cook.
Hi, how's everyone doing? Thanks for sticking around. I'm Brian Cook, as you all know, and I am a musician, a composer, inventor, and founder of Tone Tree. So in 2012, when I was an undergraduate at the University of Hartford, I was asked to write a piece for the opening of this new building. The purpose of the building on campus was to encourage more collaboration between students. So in that vein, I decided to collaborate with some dancer friends of mine. As soon as I started working with them, I was fascinated by the way they used the space as their instrument, and I wondered if it was possible to do the same with music, to turn the building into an instrument. I soon realized that nothing like this had been done before, and no off-the-shelf hardware or software would just allow me to turn a building into an instrument, so I decided to make my own. So it all started with this, a percussion interface, 2 mallets. There are actually 4 total in the performance, and they allowed my musician collaborators to play the floors and the walls of the building and trigger sounds from a computer. It enabled us to create a piece that was not only inspired by the building, but was completely integrated. But here's the best part. After the performance was over, a little girl came running up, eager to play these invisible instruments, and her fascination was easily the most rewarding part of the night. After that, I began to realize the potential. So I established a vision to create instruments that are as complex and versatile as traditional instruments, yet are more portable and accessible, because learning a new instrument can be daunting. When I came to RPI, I found a team who shared this exact same vision. There's myself, and I am a master's student in integrated electronic arts at RPI. Ronald Sardine, who's our software engineer, and he is also a computer science undergraduate at RPI. Patrick Strobing, who is our design engineer and a material science engineering student at RPI, and Max Escalaire, who is both our electrical engineer and an electrical engineering major at RPI. We also have a marketing team that's comprised of Lally School students, and we're lucky enough to have them currently working on a situation analysis and marketing plan for Tone Tree. And of course, we have a number of great advisors, including Jonathan Glass, who you just heard from with the WISE Labs, Peter Wiedfald, who's a legend in consumer electronics sales and marketing, and served as the previous head of marketing for Samsung North America, and Paul Hope, who's a control systems expert from GE Global Research. We have a great team, and tonight we're excited to show you what we've been working on.
Technology has changed the face of music production, yet for most, entering into this world is quite difficult. Software is expensive, hardware is expensive, and both are complicated to use. Here at Tone Tree, we strive to introduce new, innovative ways to interact with music, while keeping the experience easy and intuitive. We want to inspire creativity in our customers with a fresh new take on what an instrument could be. And it all starts with the Tone Tree version. Our flagship interface can turn any surface into a 3-dimensional controller. Any touch or gesture can be easily mapped to any sound, providing an experience that is simultaneously rich and familiar. You can even design your own instrument simply by drawing it on a piece of paper. It's a whole new experience with sound. Our aim is to bring music everywhere. As we move to mobile development, we look forward to giving our customers the ability to carry a world of sound in their pockets. Music is what we know best. It demands innovation and precision. It's our starting point, and we hope that you will help us take off.
The Tone Tree Birch is a revolutionary new interface that can add 3 dimensions of control to any surface. Not only can it track the position of each one of your fingers, it can also detect how hard you're striking a surface. This flexible new interface will allow people to design an infinite number of layouts to control an infinite number of sounds. It is approachable enough for anyone to use right away. We will be heading to the market with an entry-level and a professional version. The entry-level version will have a low price point. It will be focused on mobile apps, which will be focused on drawing, learning, and entertainment. It will be great for everyone, from children to musicians. The professional version is going to be catered to studio musicians, and will have an application suite for both desktop and mobile, and will be highly customizable to meet the need of each client. So we're going to be launching this with a crowdfunding campaign. This is a proven model for consumer electronics because it will drive down the cost of our components, and it will allow us to gauge interest in our product to better cater to the user. This will be of little cost compared to brick and mortar rollouts. So far, we have a number of prototypes, like the ones in the video, the ones here today. We have patents on 2 of our technologies, and we will be in support of the RPI Venture Development Program. In the near future, we'll be developing with more advanced sensors, which will be faster, cheaper, and more accurate, and we will be developing hardware and software for mobile. Further in the future, we'll have a software development kit so that we can work with third-party developers to bring our software to new heights, and we will be investigating other applications for our software. Because we believe that our technology will have implications far beyond music. Because currently, augmented reality interfaces are quite clumsy and involve something like waving your hands up in the air like the Xbox Kinect. And we believe that interfaces should be as natural as touch. But first, we need your help. Right now, we are looking for feedback on our interfaces, because in the near future, we're going to be raising capital for development costs and intellectual property costs. So please, go to our website at tonetree.co, shoot us an email, and of course, try out our demo and talk to us on the side for a completely new experience with sound. Thank you.
Hi.
Hi, just quickly, are you looking for school districts, K-12 students and music teachers to use this and give you feedback?
Yes.
Let's talk.
Great. Anyone else? Blind up there. Yes.
You mentioned you're gonna look into a professional, version of your software. So how would you compare it with already established suites like Logic Pro or Fruit or programs like that?
Okay, so our let's see, in layman's terms how to explain this. So our interface is not exactly a digital audio workstation or recording suite, but rather it is something to use along with that. So professionals would use it along with that to design their own instruments on a surface that they want to play on, and either perform with that or record with that, mapping a number of different parameters. The benefit over using traditional hardware is, of course, it's infinitely customizable, and you have more dimensions of control.
So the only sensing that I noticed was a visual sensor. Is that what you guys use for sensing, or is there other forms of sensing that you guys have for, the three-dimensional space?
So we've been lucky enough to be able to, or not lucky enough, but we work hard enough to develop some pretty complex algorithms that could do a lot with a very, very little hardware. So it's pretty much just, it's pretty much just computer vision now. Yep.
So I was going to ask, I'm not aware of any, but is there competition in this space, and what does the competition look like? How do you stand apart?
So there seems to be, the competition seems to come from complementary spaces, not exactly this space. This is a bit of a new subcategory in the music interface market. So it's hard to gauge that, but of course our closest competitors would be like things like the Ableton Push, MIDI keyboards, hardware interfaces that are set and have a set number of buttons or keys. Yep.
Do you see other applications of this beyond controlling music and
Absolutely. To basically to gain 3 dimensions of control on any surface. So we briefly breezed over the idea that this could have applications in augmented reality or many other things. Augmented reality, for those who are not familiar, are things like the Google Glass and the Microsoft, what they name that product? HoloLens, yeah. So instead of waving your hands in the air like, oh, I'm controlling something, like you could just go up and touch a wall and control it that way like a human being. I think that's it.
Thank you very much. I'm Esther Vargas, Director of the Emerging Ventures Ecosystem at Rensselaer. Let's give another round of applause for our pitches of tonight. They're really great. I want to thank Rick DeRico for being our MC tonight. Thank you, Rick. And Mike McCoy from Startup Strategy Group and the Commercialization Academy. Let's give him a round of applause for providing a meeting entrance for tonight. And also, you all heard the news about the upcoming AT&T Civic App Challenge. Let's have all of our hackers participate in this, and I encourage you to team up with community members to participate in the competition. So again, thank you all for being here, and we are here again the first Wednesday of next month, same time, 5:30. We'll have some more great pitches lined up for you, and encourage the networking to continue throughout the rest of the evening. Thank you. Also, our presenters for tonight will be on the side here, so if anybody wants to connect with them, you can find them over here. Thank you.
I'm Jason Research, I'm the director of the Severino Center at RPI. We're really excited to see the turnout for tonight. It's just one of those things that I think we started this about a year ago. We've seen it grow ever since. We've had over 40 startups present, and there's I think a really increasing number of different organizations that are coming together to come to this event and to share and support our entrepreneurs. So tonight we're deviating a little bit from the standard 5 companies. We have 4 companies, so this is actually the first time we're doing something a little bit different in having an actual launch of another event at this event. When I talked originally to Ben from AT&T about the potential of doing a hackathon that would be for the community, as a way of really creating additional startups, just got me really excited. And I think what we've been able to do through this hackathon is bring just a large number of organizations together, and you can see them up here, over 10 organizations together with the idea of supporting and running a broader hackathon event, that's going to create more startups, and potentially those startups could be presenting at the next Startup Tech Valley. And so with that, I just wanted to pass the mic over to Mitch Patterson. Mitch has done a tremendous amount in upstate New York in a wide variety of areas, everything from Laundry Square Ventures to the Sandbox over at Syracuse. And really what we're trying to do here in the Capital Region is to follow a lot of the things that we've seen Mitch do very successfully over in Syracuse. So Mitch, welcome.
Patterson. I'm a co-founder for Hack Upstate. We are a group that's been put together to bring together and unite programmers, coders, developers, technical people, all alike. And we're partnering with AT&T on a pretty cool project. We've done a couple of these now. Before I get into it, when you think of a typical hackathon, I typically think of a 24, 36, 48-hour event where we all get together and eat Doritos and drink Mountain Dew. I don't know how people do that. I'm getting old. I'm 30 now. We're changing it up and really trying to make this unique. What is the Civic App Challenge? The AT&T Civic App Challenge is a virtual hackathon. The idea is that people are given 60 days. The event kicks off today. It ends May 1st. And you are supposed to work on a mobile app or some bit of software that does civic good. When I think civic good, I think identifying where potholes are, figuring out ways to make traffic better, or how can I make bus routes better. It's a great way that can benefit the community, and it's a great way that everyone can kind of be engaged together with technology and civic good. At the same time, there's multiple prizes, $18,000 in prizes. You can see it on the sides. You can actually see it on the website. $10,000 grand prize, $5,000 second place prize, $2,000 third prize, and 2 honorable mentions of $500. It's graded on execution and creativity, and you can actually see it at Tech Valley AT&T hackupstate.com. And I will now actually transfer it over to Marcia Sorenstein.
Thanks, Mitch. Hey, everybody. So glad to be here. It's a very cool location. Wish I were having a beer instead of being up here talking, but I'm so excited to launch the AT&T Tech Valley Civic App Challenge this evening with all of you. And just today, we announced the results of a poll that we commissioned by Siena Research Institute that showed how much mobility has changed people's lives, how much New Yorkers are relying on their mobile devices and their smartphones for all facets of life. And what was most interesting was the app use and how most New Yorkers now have downloaded at least 10 or more, sometimes 20 apps across the state. And that's really indicative of how much technology is changing our lives. So we're really excited to launch this here in the Tech Valley. because we have so many great partners, and I'll go through a few of them this evening, that really showcase the vitality of the tech community here in this part of New York State. And we are excited to see what all of you come up with. We really challenge the developer community to, whether you're professionals or amateurs or students, to come together and build cool apps that are going to have a civic purpose and help your fellow citizens. And we've seen great results in other parts of the state. And so we're excited to see what this community comes up with, because we understand at AT&T that technology is the future of the economy. It is the driving force behind job growth and economic growth. And so our job is to help your community to further that growth, and that's why we're so excited about this. So let me just mention a couple of people who are here with us this evening. You'll hear from the folks on the stage, but in addition, we have representing Beehive, co-founder Tracy Metzger, right up there, front row. Representing Hudson Valley Tech Meetup, co-founder Kale Kapashilin, who's on the stage, you'll hear from in a few minutes. Representing Tech Connects, an affiliation for Center for Economic Growth, is Susan Lundberg. She will be serving as a judge for the challenge. Representing the Tech Valley Center of Gravity is the organization's board member, Erica Iannotti. She is here with us as well. Hi, Erica. Representing New York Biz Lab is its managing director, Rick Derrico. Thanks for being here. Representing the Tech Valley Mobile Developers Network, co-founder Tim Varney, who will also be serving as a judge for the challenge. We've heard from Jason from Rensselaer Poly Institute, RPI, and you'll be hearing shortly from Professor Jonathan Muckle from the University of Albany. We're excited to be partnering with both of your institutions. Representing Accelerate 5